Hi, my name is Wendy and I'm an alcoholic. And I'm totally terrified. I come to this meeting because I hear such amazing things from this table and from all of you. Big Book Step Study. The Big Book has taken a sober person who was still rocking and rolling in the head with a lot of the craziness and gave me a more peaceful, more focused life. I'm just very, very fortunate to have found it. My sobriety date is July 20th, 1987. God willing, this summer will be 30 years if I can stay away from alcohol. If I can stay out of my own head, I think is a better secret. A little bit about my history. Is it close? It must be closer. Is that better? Is that better? Because I don't like microphones. Okay, deep breath. All right, little prayer. Let's go. I didn't know I was an alcoholic. I had no idea that alcohol was a problem for me. I was a binge drinker until my late 30s. My binging moments were at that period when I was in public, when I was in social situations, because my great fear is other people. We read a play in high school called No Exit by, it doesn't matter who it's by. It was basically this scene of people talking to one another and just being miserable and saying miserable, cruel things to one another, and it turns out that this barren, desolate room with all these people in it is really hell. And the whole point is, hell is other people. Yep, that's it. That's where it is. At 16, I knew exactly what the problem was. Hell is other people. So when I discovered alcohol, it was at fraternity parties at my college. And I swear to you, I was not conscious of this. My conscious mind didn't say, I have to go in there and get drunk so that I can have fun. I didn't do that. Alcohol was never fun for me. Alcohol was what I used to quell the terror of other people, to give me the bravado to keep going in those moments. Not bravery, just alcohol-fueled stupidity. For the next 20 years, I embarrassed myself, got myself into dangerous situations, was with people I shouldn't have been with, did things that were just ludicrous. And isn't it funny, alcohol was always involved in those moments. At the age of 19 and at the age of 30-something, my early 30s, maybe 34, friends took me aside and said, basically, Wendy, you really act stupid when you're drinking. What the heck is going on? Why do you drink so much? Now, they didn't see the vast periods of non-drinking in between these binges, but so I didn't take anything to heart. I didn't believe anything they said. However, this disease is progressive. And by my late 30s, I had become a more frequent drinker at home, alone. My drink of choice was bourbon, poured into a juice glass, coffee cup. I'm sure if I'd run out of coffee cups, I would have lapped it out of a bowl. Anything. Not out of the bottle. I am, of course, a lady. I drink bourbon straight, no ice, no water, no nothing, but I'm a lady. And also in my life, I have never sat on a bar stool. I have in bars attached to very nice restaurants had stuff to drink, but I've never sat at a bar, so I am a lady. I was not very much of a lady by late at night when I would kneel before the porcelain throne and puke my guts out, which is how my drinking ended up. It was nightly, and each night I'd say, I don't want to do this anymore, I want this to stop. But I would do it again. In between, just before the barfing started, there was a period when I had gotten to know a woman in this program and had heard her experience strength and hope, and it sort of made me view my drinking a little differently. And after a couple of really inappropriate evenings, a couple of jackpots, let's say, I realized I wanted to stop, and I did, all by myself. I didn't need you. I didn't need what this program had to offer. I could do this all by myself. That lasted for 8 weeks, and then I went on a vacation that I had planned with a girlfriend to go to a place where I knew every moment was saturated in alcohol. And of course, I was drinking before I even got there because this was a planned relapse. It wasn't a relapse. I didn't lapse into anything. I knew damn well what I was doing. When I got home from that vacation, I said to myself, nobody is ever going to take this alcohol away from me again. I said those words. Nobody's ever going to take this away from me again. And I went on to 4 months of daily sickness, of daily unhappiness, daily miserable drinking. And I'm grateful it was only that long. And I finally realized, because a friend said he wanted to talk to me about how I had stopped drinking. I had been bragging about it during those skinny little 8 weeks. I was, so he wanted to talk to me about that. And I realized if I was going to talk to him at all, I had to stop drinking. Or this was what my mind said, so I stopped. And 2 weeks later, I realized I couldn't do it on my own. So I went down the hall and I asked my friend to take me to one of your meetings because I'm not an alcoholic, I said. I just have a little problem with alcohol. I tell my boring little story because there may be someone out in this room who is saying to him or herself, I didn't crash a bunch of cars. I didn't either. Somebody hit me while they were drunk, even though I was drunk at the same time. I was parked at a red light appropriately, but somebody hit me. So I never crashed a car. Somebody else might say, well, I've never been to jail. And my whole jail time was 15 minutes when I was picked up at a fraternity party off campus. This was a long time ago. The dean came down and rescued all of us and gave us slaps on the wrist. I then did a geographical and came up to Boston. But if you're saying to yourself, I didn't go to jail, I didn't crash the car, I didn't lose the job, I might still be an alcoholic. I certainly am. Just because I haven't gone down to the 5th sub-basement of hell on that elevator doesn't mean I'm not an alcoholic. There were other hells in sobriety. There were other different kinds of hell I had to face, and thank God I got sober because I don't think I could have dealt with them. In sobriety, I've had a higher power. I'm going to go back. My sponsor had a sponsor who was 6 months sober when she became a sponsor. Neither of them ever did the steps, really. When I said to my sponsor, when are we going to sit down and do the steps, which I'd kept on hearing about, she said, what do you think we've been talking about all this time? And being incredibly lazy, Laziness is one of my chief character defects. I said, fine, I don't have to do them. I've done them. No, I hadn't. So 20 some odd years into my sobriety, a sponsee, one of the very few, said that she wanted to do big book step study. So I said, okay, let me go see what that's all about. I wanted to be sure this was safe, because I'd heard all the pejoratives, that you guys are all Nazis, and you tell a Jewish woman that these people are Nazis, it has a different meaning than other people. So I went to the meeting. I don't know if she ever finished it, but I fell in love. I fell in love with the process. I fell in love with your spirituality. I fell in love with the shares, the honesty. Oh my word. And that has not changed. That has not changed at all since then. I found a sponsor who I picked for the best reasons. I thought she was the person that I always wanted to be, sophisticated, a businesswoman and worldly. God bless her, she's a goof. She, at the time, was a sales girl in a health food shop, and she's just as down to earth as can be. So my higher power was doing stuff for me that I couldn't have done for myself. I worked the steps with her, had to come back from a relapse of my agnosticism. I had lost my higher power for a number of years during my sobriety, but I always still went to synagogue, got on my knees, prayed to I didn't know what, but I had lost this feeling that there is a force, to take a word from a movie, the force that really was there for me. I had lost that. I came into these rooms and it came back. I started doing these steps and it came back. I call it the God of my lack of understanding, because if I try to think about it, when I try to think about it, when I try to decide what God is, it gets weird in my head and I lose my hold. And you know, my husband always says this: if you find yourself at a distance from your higher power, you have to ask yourself, who moved? And I knew it was me. This process brought me back in and enabled me to see a higher power in my life and to face all those dreadful, humiliating, horrible things I had done or said or felt. You know, I love it when people share honestly, and I realize that I am just another bozo on the bus. Everybody feels what I feel. Everybody who has experienced stuff has experienced what I've experienced. I love this program because we're all here together. Now step 11. I came into step meetings on step 11 when I was a year sober, after this friend down the hall took me to my first meeting. I only went to open meetings. I only wanted to have you talk. I didn't want to talk. I didn't want you to know me, see me. After all, I didn't have a problem with alcohol. So I finally went to a step meeting, a 12 and 12. It's mostly what we had back then. And I said my name when we introduced ourselves, my name, and I am an alcoholic. I burst into tears, thinking all these people should pity me. By the way, I have an excess of self-pity too. It was the best thing I ever said, the best number of words I ever said. And then a couple of decades later, I found this book, and I was able to renew that relationship with my higher power. So let's talk about that. I find that I know we divide step 11. We start at where it says step 11 suggests. Just consider the thought that maybe starting it from the paragraph before where it says, much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. If we have carefully followed His directions, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop this vital sixth sense. But we must go further, and that means action. To me, that is how I could do step 11. I had this feeling of God consciousness within me. And the idea of praying for strength, inspiration, and direction made sense to me. When I pray for myself, those are the words I use. I also call it my mother's prayer. She used to look down at us when we were very young and say, oh, God, give me strength. So, yeah, Mom, you're right. God, give me strength, inspiration, and direction so I know what to do at any given moment of the day. And then He tells us that we have the proper attitude and work at it. Okay, we are honest here. Do I work at it? I have about a 50-60% rating at working at it. The relationship, yes. The prayers, yes. The meditation, the always doing my spiritual readings. And of course, I am now realizing that I pay for it, rather. And by the way, I wasn't assigned to speak today until about 10 minutes ago when I was asked to speak for someone who didn't feel well. And what do you do when you're asked to speak? You speak, even though your mouth is feeling like corrugated cardboard. And okay. When we retire at night, we constructively review our day. I do that. I think that I should probably do that right after dinner because my brain is, by the time it's bedtime, cobbled with mush. And I use the word angry instead of resentful because what I feel is anger. And I have 7 kinds of selfishness that I think about. Plain old selfishness, I want that stuff. Self-aggrandizement, look at me, ain't I wonderful? Self-pity, oh my God, I'm so awful, this is terrible. Self-loathing, even worse, this is so terrible. Self-obsession, well, it is all about me after all. Self-pity, it's all about me and I have to do all that stuff. And then finally, self-deception, which is me lying to myself about all that stuff. All the other 6 steps. So selfishness is a very broad definition for me. And I think about those things. On awakening, I do ask for help from my higher power. I go through a few prayers first, a thankfulness for the day, for another day of life. I had an illness in sobriety that we don't know what it was, but it was not life-threatening, but I went blind for a period of time. I was in excruciating pain for a long, long time. And still having untreated alcoholism, I was filled with self-pity. But this program helped me enough that I got through that and was able to work and help my husband raise his family and our family and just live life. Thank God for sobriety. I'm losing it here. Wait a second. So I've had that kind of a challenge. We've had challenges like both of us having no job at a time when we're supposed to be working and scared about money and a kid to put him through college and two kids to put through college, but still. I still asked for help, and today I am. All right, the point about it, telling you about that illness was that I am thankful for the day because I didn't know if I was going to have other days. So when you have that feeling, even if your life isn't really threatened, when you have that feeling that there might not be a tomorrow, it gives you perspective on the day. I go through the third step prayer. I go through a morning prayer from my religion and thank God for his faithfulness to me. I go through the long form of the what is that basic Serenity, thank you. This long form of the Serenity Prayer, which I have slightly edited to have it fit with my theology since it was a Christian prayer. And I recommend to everyone if you look up the Serenity Prayer and find the lines that come beyond the three that we say in our meetings, because it talks about living one day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardship as a pathway to peace, and more that would just be so helpful to you. I then say these words about directing my thinking. No, there's something else I say. The last three lines of the 11th step prayer in the 12 and 12. Please remind me it's better to love than be loved, understand than be understood, comfort than be comforted. For it's by giving that we receive, it's by pardoning that we are pardoned. And I say, and it's by letting go of self-centered fear that we enter the sunlight of the Spirit. Slight editing of that last line. By the way, that is the best marital advice anybody can possibly receive. Better to love than be loved, understand than be understood, comfort than be comforted. Fabulous. Makes a good marriage. I take the time to do that, to say all these, because each has something to contribute that I have to remember all day. And then I converse with my higher power all day long. I find that the car is a wonderful place because people don't know whether you're talking on your Bluetooth or of course, if you're driving a really old Camry like I have, they know you're not talking on your Bluetooth, but they don't really know who you're talking to because we have all these devices now. So you're not, for those of you who are afraid to do that in the car, don't worry. Nobody's going to think you're crazy anymore. That's a good place because I am most often alone, most often just free to say anything I want, scream, come to my senses, find out, go through those 7 selves and figure out which form of selfishness is bothering me right then. And then there are moments like today when for some reason I was just blue. I asked for help with it. There is no reason for this. Stuff happens. The weather, I don't know. And what did I get? My higher power in my life. I went to a meeting before this. My other addiction is food. And a woman was kind enough to say, how are you feeling today? No, how are you really feeling today? and blah. And we talked, and she helped me. That's my higher power speaking to me. And then I walked into this room, having picked up a couple of girls and sharing my experience, strength, and hope a little, and then walked in praying. And someone comes up to me and says, "Will you speak?" I have always said to myself, I never want to be at this desk. Never, never, because of what you're hearing. And so my God did for me what I could not do for myself, because obviously I was supposed to be thinking about these things and saying them. So I pause when agitated and doubtful and ask for the right thought or action. I use my serenity prayer. I use my sick man's prayer. I am more and more able to say, "Thy will be done each day," because I have built that upon all the other prayers I put into my life. Much less danger of excitement, fear, anger, worry, self-pity, or foolish decisions. Come on, I'm Wendy. I'm going to have those, but perhaps they're less dangerous because I'm surrounded by people in this program who can say, "Come on, you're Wendy, look at what you're doing." And I also have the ability to step back and say, "Okay, higher power, what am I doing here?" and see what it is. I'm undisciplined, so I let God discipline me in the simple way I just outlined. I love this program. I love all of you. I am so grateful for everything you have given me. The idea of old age, I see so many people frightened. I am 70 now, and I see so many people frightened, but I have everything that is recommended for people in old age. The food I take care of, the exercise I take care of. But look at this. I have a place to go every day. I have people who are like-minded that I can be with every day. I have friends in this program, relationships that I have made because we are like-minded and understand one another and can share with one another, knowing the shares will not be taken anywhere else. I have they recommend a faith, but I have a way of living that is marvelous. And I have something that's even more wonderful. I have a reason to be, which is to give back this program to other people, other sick and suffering alcoholics, just like me, whether they're 3 days sober or 35 years sober. Thank you. Thank you for letting me speak. Thank you for being here.